for the glory of the sky. For the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of love, to you we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Source of love, to you we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Good evening, everyone. Gather together in this space, in the presence of the sacred, united in love, united with life itself, united in our desire for gratitude, united in this pandemic, united on the eve of the 400th anniversary of that bittersweet first Thanksgiving meal shared between Pilgrims and Wampanoags in 1620. And so tonight, I begin by lighting a candle, remembering the indigenous people who walked these lands long before it became the US, including the lands right here in the California Bay Area, the lands of the Chochenyo people from the Ohlone tribes. Hear this prayer of gratitude for life, despite all of the hardships and injustice, written by Michael Tenderheart Markley, a descendant of the Wampanoag tribe in the land that became known as Plymouth, Massachusetts Bay Colony. Let us give thanks to the Creator for all that He gives. The harvest moon has shined its brilliance over our home. And now, as we store the harvest of our work, the Creator gives His sustenance. The earth will now rest through the coming seasons, storing the energy needed to once again feed our people. But it might not be that easy to give thanks right now for many of us. And so if this Thanksgiving season has left you feeling lonely, hopeless, heartsick, stay with us and find hope and healing. If you feel so far away from loved ones in this time of pandemic and divisiveness, stay with us. Discover that you are not alone. If political views and rhetoric have damaged your relationships, stay with us in this place of restoration. If the brokenness of our world, this country, our city, our families seem beyond repair, stay with us and experience wholeness here and now. And listen now to this beautiful song entitled Words of Praise.
I hear the children playing in the sunlight, when I hear the gentle sound of lazy summer rain, when I hear the north wind blowing through the treetops, when I hear the birds announce spring has come again, words of praise are all that I can say. And when the words have died away, then my heart will still be praising you, for you are the mystery of love, in whose life I live and move. I will praise you night and day, and that is all that I can say. When a word of kindness is spoken by a stranger, when an old friend's greeting takes me by surprise, when beneath my window someone's voice is singing, when the old man tells me stories, when the baby cries, words of praise are all that I can say. And when the words have died away, then my heart will still be praising you, for you are the mystery of love, in whose life I live and move. I will praise you night and day, and that is all that I can say. When my disappointment turns to understanding, when a hated enemy becomes a trusted friend, when the life I wanted gives way to one much better, when a bad beginning becomes a hopeful end, words of praise are all that I can say. mystery of love, in whose life I live and move. I will praise you night and day. That is all that I can say.
Words of praise for the mystery of love, the gift of life, the preciousness of one another, and the preciousness of this moment together. And so hear now these words of thanks, even with the night falling, even in the face of despair. This poem that could have easily been written for these times of pandemic, written by poet W.S. Merton, practicing Buddhist, twice named U.S. Poet Laureate, who died in 2019. His poem is entitled Thanks. Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We are stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We are running out of the glass rooms with our mouths full of food to look at the sky and say thank you. We are standing by the water, thanking it. Standing by the windows, looking out in all directions, back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging after funerals. We are saying thank you after the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them. We are saying thank you over telephones. We are saying thank you in doorways and in the backs of cars and in elevators, remembering wars and the police at the door and the beating on stairs. We are saying thank you. In the banks, we are saying thank you. In the faces of the officials and the rich and of all who will never change, we go on saying thank you. Thank you with the animals dying around us, taking our feelings. We are saying thank you with the forests falling faster than the minutes of our lives. We are saying thank you with the words going out like cells of a brain, with the cities growing over us. We are saying thank you faster and faster with nobody listening. We are saying thank you. Thank you. We are saying and waving, dark though it is. The night is falling, and in this season, it is growing darker, and the nights are longer, literally and metaphorically. So many of us find ourselves looking back from hospitals, praying for so many who have died, 260,000 people in this country, praying even for those we don't know, remembering wars and beatings and violence and the faces of the officials and the rich and the forests falling faster than the minutes of our lives. And so many of us, including me, miss our parents, our siblings, our loved ones that we are separated from in this time. And so many of us in this economy face tremendous economic pressures from job loss and economic insecurity. It is all so heavy in our hearts. So we don't need to say thank you right now. We don't need to feel gratitude right now. The 13th century Sufi mystic Rumi once said, "Don't run away from grief, O soul. Look for the remedy inside the pain, because the rose came from the thorn and the ruby came from the stone." Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist monk, once observed, "Anxiety, the illness of our time, comes primarily from our inability to dwell within the present, this present moment, being present to what is most painful and broken. Our broken hearts, our health, our lives, our family, this country, the world. The good news, by dwelling in this present moment, dwelling with what is, including facing the heaviness of our grief, our pain, our anger. This is where the light gets in, where the hope and the change begin, where the remedy is found and the rose begins to bud, and the hidden precious ruby is found. New life begins in the naming, touching, and seeing that which is most painful, what we may believe is our unnameable pain. And so I invite you now, in the shelter, safety, connection of this space, to let the light in and to name what is broken, your grief, your pain, your anger, the greatest pressure you are facing. You'll have about a minute to think about it. And when you name it, no sentences, please. Name it in a single word or short phrase. For example, rage. Name the greatest pressure you are facing. Pressure at work, my home, my health, uncertainty. Doesn't matter if someone else has spoken it before, you can repeat it. So take a minute to reflect, and then our host will unmute us. And let us begin and hold this time together in the light. So I invite you at this time to share a word, a phrase, whatever it is you're present to in your experience here and now. I'm missing, especially this year, my father and mother.
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Yeah, that says it all.
Uncertainty.
Missing a greater purpose.
A greater purpose.
Impatience.
Impatience.
Letting go.
Letting go. Weariness. Go ahead.
Lack of acceptance.
Lack of acceptance. Weariness.
Longing.
Longing.
Loneliness.
Loneliness.
Injustice.
Injustice. Cynicism.
Ignorance.
Complacency.
Complacency. Resignation.
Physical pain.
Physical pain.
Acceptance.
Acceptance. All right, then let's not share or die, but I do want to invite, if those of you who feel a little shy and you would like to share, please do. There's no right or wrong, just what you're present to. All right, then let us hold all of this space, all of these pressures, longings, feelings, and we'll take a moment to hear a response, holding it all.
I can feel the thorns around me as I walk this weary land, and I know that I am bleeding on my feet and on my hands, and I stand to face these sharp thorns, and I give them all their names. come to name them, they make me bleed just the same. Here is impatience, lack of acceptance. Here is ignorance. Here is confusion. Here is a lack of knowing the greater purpose. Here is pain in my mind and in my body. Here is confusion. Yes, I feel the thorns around me, and when they reach me, they go deep, deep into my soul and body, and these thorns can make me weep. But as I walk through days and nights now, I can see in places where I go, on the thorns that have surrounded me is the tiniest bud of rose. So I will be ever grateful for the roses that will come, and I'll know what in my trials, this is not the final home, and I'll walk through these sharp thorns now, and know where my feet go. Among the thorns, I'll surely see it, just the tiniest bud of rose.
And just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. Hear now these words of wisdom from Joy Hargo, a writer of the Muskogee Creek Nation from Oklahoma. She has twice been named Poet Laureate of the US, 2019 and again 2020 this year. Her poem speaks of the wisdom of remembering where you came from and never taking anything for granted. Her poem is entitled Remember. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your Father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of the universe. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. And hear now the song entitled Symphony of Praise.
The sun on my face in the morning, birds' wings beating nearby, somewhere in the quiet of the first light, I hear a newborn baby cry. Life is a song, my child. Raise your voice and sing, my child. Join in the symphony of praise. The touch of sand on my running feet, the ocean roaring nearby, above the sound of the surf and the seagulls, I still can hear the newborn's cry. Life is a song, my child. Raise your voice and sing, my child. Join in the symphony of praise. Hallelujah, sings the rolling river. Hallelujah, sings the mighty mountain. sun on my face in the morning, the gentle sound of springtime rain, the touch of a hand on my shoulder, gentle sleep to ease my pain. These are the songs, my child. Raise your voice and sing, my child. Join in the symphony of praise.
Hear now this voice, this symphony of praise. Tom.
When I was 24 years old, I languished in a prison, in a dungeon, alone, unable to escape, miserable, broken. I hurt so much I'd moved through the pain and come out the other side, numb, unable to feel anything but fear and despair. In my better moments, I hatched plots for escape. I made plans I knew I would never put into practice because making them was all I could do. That's where I was, frightened and alone, when a knight in shining armor broke down the door, took me by the hand, and hauled me to safety. This is a true story. It's not a literal story. The dungeon was a dorm room at Whittier College. The bar on the door was my anxiety, and the chain weighing me down was my major depressive disorder. Mm-hmm. My knight's armor was a red dress, and the knight herself was my professor, my advisor, my mentor, my friend, Anne Kiley. The trap was real, the pain was real, and the rescue was real. I was enrolled in a full slate of classes, but had stopped doing homework, and then stopped going to class, and then stopped going out. Anne knew something of my history. Whittier College was my second chance. And after dropping out of UC Santa Cruz after I dropped out of UC Santa Cruz under distressingly similar circumstances. After Santa Cruz, my parents picked me up, healed me, sent me to therapy, and supported me as I spent a semester at a junior college, just trying to find a new normal. One weekend, my folks left me in their place and went off to a reunion at Whittier where they had gone to school, where they had met, fallen in love, and married immediately after graduation. When they came home, they told me I ought to apply. I said no, I had a plan. I needed a year of junior college to show that I was ready, that I had overcome my trials, and I was worthy of another shot. They talked me into going down to visit campus anyway. I'd stay with Les Howard, the sociology professor at Whittier, and Les had also been my dad's roommate when they'd been at Whittier together. So I went, and I loved it. I applied, they accepted me, and I enrolled. I told myself that what had happened in Santa Cruz was an unfortunate thing that had happened to me. I was fine, and it was past. For the first few semesters, it worked. The story held, things went well, and then they went poorly. And then I found myself trapped, painfully, hopelessly, in the dungeon. Anne didn't know the details of my history, but she knew enough to know that something was very wrong. She came to the dorm, knocked on my door, made me open it, and then walked me hand in hand to the counseling center, where she handed me over to a therapist so healing could begin. It was a long and harrowing road from there to graduation. There were twists and turns and relapses, setbacks. I needed to stay another semester to graduate. There were also little victories, like when I aced a research paper, which I turned in on time. Between them, my mom and dad, the campus therapist, and Anne collaborated to hold me accountable, keep me on track and moving forward, and they cared for me when I relapsed. In some ways, I'm incredibly thankful for that time. I learned an awful lot about myself. I got to be rescued by a real hero. And it was in that final extra semester that Katie and I fell in love. So though I'd never wish that sort of experience on anyone, I have no regrets. This Thanksgiving finds us all at least a little trapped as we shelter in place, rarely go out under curfew. Our usual Thanksgiving plans has given way to what we may. I treasure my memories of freer Thanksgivings past, getting together with parents, friends, and families at makeshift tables almost longer than living rooms can allow. The hustle and bustle of too many people running around with cousins I saw too rarely, causing a ruckus at Pilgrim Place where my grandparents lived and where my parents live now. Monster movie marathons on Channel 5, turkey comas on the couch while the Detroit Lions play unwatched on the TV. It was easy in those fat years to look around and be thankful. Thankful for the abundance, thankful for the overflowing love, and thankful for all our blessings. But this year, please, don't just lament the loss of traditions that need to be shelved. I don't need to tell you the statistics and what you see when we all look around. But look all the same, and know that it's in the darkest times that you can do the most good. I am eternally grateful to Anne because she came to me when I needed it most. Later, Anne told me that in all her years on campus, she had never, not once, set foot in a dorm. And let me tell you, I am still thankful that she did.
Amen. Thank you, Tom, for sharing this story of that time of dungeon in your life, the crucible, which became the womb of self-knowledge and strength. And that knight in shining armor who came and pulled you out for all of us. And that second knight in shining armor who's sitting right there next to you. And so I invite us once again in the shelter and safety and connection of this piece of love, even in the midst of your own dungeon and all the pressures that you may be experiencing right now. I invite you to name, get in touch with what it is that gives you hope and light and a glimpse of new life. flowing up within you. A word or a short phrase. And again, no sentences, please. Doesn't matter if someone else said the exact same thing. And so we'll take a minute again to be present to that source that gives us hope, even in that dungeon place. What is it that gives you hope?
Love.
Love. I was thinking truth, vulnerability, the strength of vulnerability.
The sunshine.
Sunshine.
The voices of my kids and grandkids.
My kids and grandkids' voices.
Playing.
Playing.
Music.
Music.
Connection.
Connection. This moment.
Healing.
The contradiction to the belief that we're alone.
Laughter.
Laughter.
Pie.
Pickleball. Poetry.
Waking up.
Honesty. Touch. understanding. Knowing I'm loved at my worst.
Good work to do.
Good work to do. Cats.
Can I expand on music a second? Exceed a single word. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from my youngest daughter, just fearful, beside herself. She had lost her job and she's in her mid-50s.
Mm.
And this was 2 weeks ago. So I played the piano and I played. Well, I told her, I sent her an email. I said, this has been on my mind for some reason this week, just 2 weeks ago. So I sent her some music and it turned her around. She got very surprised. The music I played in the piano was Happy Days Are Here Again. I was, of course, reacting to something else, but it was where she was at the same time.
The days of FDR, happy days are here.
Yeah.
Others, quieter folks. What gives you hope?
Courage.
Courage. Compassion and empathy.
That tomorrow is a new day.
Tomorrow is a new day.
Sane leadership in the government.
Yeah. Science.
January 20th.
February 20th.
January 20th.
January 20th. Yes. Yes.
New life in whatever form it takes.
New
butterfly, a bird, or a new baby.
Yes. Whatever form it takes.
Face masks and vaccines.
Face masks and vaccines. So we listen deeply to everything that's been said and what we can barely imagine, and the stirrings of those of you who don't quite have the words. We hold it all.
Katie, come and play with me. Put on those old sneakers. Let's go out to the field and run together. Because there is new life in the world. New sanity in Washington. Hope in the world, courage in the world. There is David, there is Nancy and Janie, there is Kathleen and Carl. There are all these faces. Take a look around, see these faces full of hope and gratitude. They make the day. in the field where there are thorns, for we see the rosebuds there. David, come and play. Kathleen, come and play. Nancy, come and play. Carl, come and play. Maureen, come and play. Everybody come and play. Laurie, come and play. Laughter in the world. Children in the world. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day. Sure, there's lockdown in the world, but there's loving in the world, and there's tomorrow in the world, and there is waking up in the world. So come walk with me, beloved, even though the thorns be here. There is much to be celebrated. There is joy among the tears. And to you who've joined this call tonight, to every one of us who knows all these faces and these voices, everyone a lovely rose.
I'm looking at each one of you lovely roses, and I was thinking of the gratitudes that again and again remind me of the power of love, which sounds so trite, but it is so powerfully profound. And each one of us is like this tiny little pebble dropped into a still lake. And the power, the rippling power of that tiny pebble dropping, letting go, letting into love can change everything. And so each one of you, I love you. I give special thanks this evening for each one of you to take this time to be together, to co-create this space. I give my deepest thanks to Ken Medema for his beautiful, magical, brilliant music, Tom Manley for his courageous, inspiring, life-giving message, his testimony, for Katie, his witness, for each one of us. And I look forward to the day when we hear each other's stories. There is so much strength together. We are in this together. And so hear these words of benediction. This whole beautiful, diverse, painful, messed up, glorious world is one, with the thorns and the roses. And we need every one of us, and we need each other. We need you. I need you. Not just some of us. Each one of us. We need love.
For the folk now gathered here, our voices joined in prayer. For each joy and for each tear, joy is round us everywhere, source of love to